Hey everyone. First of all, I do apologize if any noise happens. I have my windows open, get some fresh air, and quite frankly, there are young kids that walk by, so if you hear my dog barking or hear some kids in the background, I do apologize for that. But I talked about this earlier. I did a video earlier during my lunch, and I felt like, I could do better, because one, I was kind of short on time when I did it, and now I got a little bit more time, or at least a little bit more time before my mom shows up, so I could talk about this. And what I want to talk about is the fact that since Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson debuted in WWE, a lot of fans have been questioning exactly who are they going to align with. Now, a lot of fans, hardcore fans, would love to see them align with Finn Balor. Because, let's be honest, when Finn Balor got signed to WWE, when word got out that Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, was signed to WWE, and to be part of NXT before he got called to the main roster, a lot of fans were ecstatic. They were ecstatic at the fact that here you had the first piece of one of the most talked about, controversial factions, if not reincarnations, of NWO in the Bullet Club, the leader himself, the founder of the group, now part of WWE. Here to the hardcore fans was the first part of the puzzle, the first piece of the puzzle to bring the Bullet Club and to WWE and make it part of it. This was the first step. This was the first step in their minds, in the hardcore fans' minds. This was the first step. The very first step. And it wouldn't be the last. So when they heard Finn Balor had shown up, to them, Prince Devitt that is, like I said, that was the first piece of the puzzle. And now that Anderson and Gallows has shown up, the question is, will they align with Finn Balor? Or will they align with AJ Styles? Because you see, when AJ showed up, a lot of fans were ecstatic about that. Because when they heard that both AJ, Anderson, and Gallows had given the notices, to them it was like, yes! The other four major pieces of the puzzle are in play. The other four pieces necessary to bring the Bullet Club to WWE have come to the forefront. The only problem about that is we don't know who Anderson and Gallows are aligned with. And there's many options. In fact, those at the Chair Shot Reality, the main host there, said that they have a ton of options. They have a ton of options to work with. Because now WWE is in a situation to where they can keep the fans, the insiders, guessing as to what direction they're going to go in. Because WWE would have to be stupid not to realize that what they got here is a gold mine on their hands. But will they deposit that gold mine into a lifelong savings? Or will they immediately cash it in and end it and go bankrupt? You see, that is the question that they have. See, to fans, for them to deposit it into a lifelong savings would be for them to align Gallows and Anderson with Balor, and thus recreate the three founding members of the Bullet Club in WWE as the Balor Club, basically. But if that's not the case, then the second option for long-term savings would be to align with AJ Styles. Thus make it come to reality truthful reality that AJ was always in on the attacks. Those, to the eyes of the hardcore fans, longtime fans, that have been following the Bullet Club for many years, that would be the best direction for WWE to go in a lifelong plan or a long-term plan as far as the Bullet Club is concerned. But then comes the other option. The option of cashing in everything and spending it and going bankrupt in the eyes of the hardcore fans. And as well as in the eyes of the insiders. Because you see, to a majority of hardcore fans and some insiders, if they were to cash in the gold, that gold mine right there, right now, and spend all that money they get just like that, and basically have nothing in the end, the way they could end up doing that, the WWE that is, in those eyes of those people, is by aligning Gallows and Anderson with Reigns. Thus, creating their version, their interpretation of the Bullet Club, or finally bringing this Roman Empire to reality, to fruition as the faction that maybe in their eyes it needs to be. But the problem that some people pointed out is that people like Anderson and Gallows. They remind them of a new kind of outsiders tag team. Cool. Just like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were. They were bad guys. They were heels, but they were the kind of cool bad guys and heels that you wanted to cheer for. The same with Anderson and Gallows. And the problem is, some people have said that if they get aligned with Reigns, that this is going to make Reigns just like them in a sense, to where fans are going to start to cheer Reigns. To where maybe Anderson and Gallows will rub off on him, and just like the fans originally started booing Hogan for a while, even after he joined the NWO and caused Hall and Nash to get booed because of the alignment, he ended up getting cheers as well. Fans started getting behind him because he was being cool. He was being the cool bad guy that you wanted to cheer for. And that's what fans are, and that's what a lot of the hardcore fans and insiders are afraid of happening if WWE decides to cash in their gold mine and spend it all and have nothing left by aligning Anderson and Gallows with Reigns. But then on the other hand, and they could turn it into some kind of a long-term deal, just like the other two ideas, or the other two options, into a long-term savings plan in its own way, by salvaging it and making it into something that needs to be, if you truly want to present Anderson and Gallows as the heels they need to be. And what you need to do is have Reigns not only be a heel, not only have Anderson and Gallows align with him, but have him go out and do something very similar to Hogan. Remember, Hogan cut that promo that everybody still talks about this day at Bash at the Beach after he turned and joined the Outsiders as the NWO. You can have Reigns do some kind of similar promo that night at Payback or the next night on Raw, and basically have him in a way say, hey, you're taking everything I've done for you in the war against the Authority and you're throwing it away. So you know what? In turn, you want to throw away everything I've done to get rid of people like the Authority? Well, guess what? I'm going to take away what you care about the most, and that's the Bullet Club, and I'm going to make them part of my empire. And that could work. That could work. You have him do some kind of promo similar to that, to where he acknowledges that no matter what he does, no matter what he says, fans are going to boo him no matter what. So why not have him take that anger and say, hey, you want to boo me? You want to take away everything I've done for you? Especially in the war against the Authority? I'm going to take away what you want. I'm going to take away what you hold dear, or what you've been wanting. I'm going to take away your precious Bullet Club and make them part of my empire. And you can make that happen. You can have him do that. And you can have Gallows and Anderson point to him just like the Outsiders did to Hogan. And say, yeah, we're now with him, whether you like it or not. You can have them do this. maybe to solidify it. And you know what? That, in a sense, according to I think those at Chair Shot Reality, is the best option to go, because this way, not only do you solidify the fact that Roman Reigns is now a full-fledged heel, but also you finally establish what you've been wanting, and that's Gallows and Anderson as heels, the way you wanted them to be brought in. Now you might be questioning, okay, well, where does this put Balor and Styles? You might be questioning that. Well, what puts Balor and Styles is on the outside looking in. Like here you have the two leaders, the two faces of the Bullet Club. One in Balor, who passed the torch basically to Styles to carry on. Here you have both of them looking on. Here you have Balor, probably from a storyline, coming up and saying, hey, look, I thought we had this plan out. I thought in confronting Gallows and Anderson saying, hey, I thought we had all this planned out. I thought we were going to reform the Bullet Club as the Balor Club here in WWE. What happened? And you can even have Styles as well asking, what happened? How did Reigns get to you? What happened? How did this happen? And from a storyline perspective, maybe keep it in continuity with what's happened in Japan when they were part of New Japan. You can have Gallows and Anderson say, hey, look, Balor, we appreciate everything you did for us when we started the Bullet Club, but the thing is, when you left, things went downhill a little bit. True, we were dominant still, but not as dominant. Even with Styles as our face, as our leader, we were not as dominant anymore. True, we won championships. We won all the championships there, but we still weren't as dominant. We weren't as powerful. We weren't as intimidating, because now those Japanese wrestlers were starting to stand up to us. Or those new Japan stars were starting to stand up to us and actually beat us at our own game. You can have them say that. You can have them mention that since Balor left and gave the reins to Styles, other groups in New Japan, in the Japanese wrestling world, as well as other promotions, started to form to fight against the Bullet Club. And that made them less of a threat. And then you could say, and then you could use that, and then you can have them say to Styles that, hey, you were a great leader in your own right, but because of you, people didn't take us seriously anymore, people were intimidated by us, and oh, by the way, you started doing something that we were never about, and that's showing respect to our opponents, to the New Japan wrestlers. You could do something to that point, in that caliber with both Balor and Styles. Because basically you're going to want them, like I say, the founder of the Bullet Club, as well as the guy he passed the torch to as leader in the face of the group, you're going to want them to know why. You're going to want them to get those answers from the now two former stablemates. You're going to want that. But that's if WWE goes in that direction of not just turning Reigns heel, but making it established that he's taking away what the fans held dear, were hoping for, and holding on to for, or making him part of his empire instead of some club. And even from a story standpoint, you could say, hey, Balor, when you were leading us, we had all the gold. We were dominant. We were intimidating. We basically controlled the Japanese wrestling scene and everything. But when you left, we became less intimidating. People didn't take us seriously anymore. There were other groups forming out of, in Japan and all over the world to fight against us. And we weren't as powerful anymore. We didn't have that power anymore. We didn't have that intimidation factor. And you can have them point out that the reason they joined Roman is because now they do have that power once again. They have that power that they once had in Japan, and now they have it here in WWE, as well as they have that intimidation factor. And thus you could start building off of that that Roman Empire that needs to be established to really show the Roman as champion has that power to do whatever he wants, to allow Gallows and Anderson to do whatever they want, and whoever else aligns themselves with them. It would be a good payoff if done right. Because if they just have Reigns align himself with them without no explanation, then what? It's not going to be that good of a payoff, and he's going to end up being cheered in the long run, which you do not want if you're going to make him a heel and align him with Gallows and Anderson. And what you need to do to make it different than the NWO, different with the Outsiders and Hogan, is you got to make Gallows and Anderson establish the fact that, hey, though it Reigns, they don't care what the fans want. You got to have Gallows and Reigns come out and say, hey, you can cheer all you want. We don't care. You can take your cheers and shove them. But to me, that's a direction. If they're going to align Gallows and Anderson with Reigns, that's the direction you need to go. Not just have him join. Maybe say, hey, I'm the new leader. Hey, I'm the new leader of the Bullet Club and everything. We're the new foundation of the Bullet Club or the Roman Empire or whatever, and that's it. No, you can't do that. You need to give him an explanation. You need to have him do a promo that that could definitely be used to turn the people not just against him, but against Anderson and Gallows. And you need to use that to lead into a program with Styles and Balor, wondering what happened, how did Reigns get to them, and even throw the Usos in there, wondering why their own cousin, their own flesh and blood, would set them up. So, to me, that's what you need to do. Now, if you do Balor as the mastermind, that's great because you're basically bringing in a WWE version of the Bullet Club as the Balor Club. That works. That's what fans want. Go ahead and give it to them. Styles would be too predictable. But I think one thing, though, that definitely points that it could be Reigns, that they said on Chair Shot Reality is Balor is over. Him and Styles are over as massive baby faces right now. That Balor is as over as Bayley is in NXT, and as Bayley's going to be in the main roster, he's going to be just as over. So that leaves Reigns as the only option. Unless they swerve out, unless they do go a predictable route. So we'll just have to wait and see, but the options are there, and I think the most likely option, if they do it, whether we like it or not, and I think it's the option a lot of fans are afraid is going to be the most wasteful option, unless they do it the way I said, where he comes out and says, hey, you're taking everything away that I did for you and you're taking everything I did for you and throwing it away. Or you took away everything I've done for you and thrown it in the trash. Well, guess what? I'm going to take what you hold precious, what you've been hoping for in the Bullet Club, in Anderson and Gallows, and I'm going to make them part of my group, my Roman Empire, and we're going to run roughshod over this company whether you like it or not. And you know what? We frankly don't care. We're about you or anybody else. You need to establish them as heels if you're going to go in that direction, or something like that. So, to me, so the question is, who do Gallows and Anderson align with? We'll just have to wait and see come Payback, hopefully. But Styles might be too predictable. Balor might be too predictable, especially if they're getting the reaction still that they're getting. You have to go with Reigns. You have to go with Reigns, in my opinion. Because from a storyline perspective, continuity perspective, especially connection with New Japan, it will work out. Like I've mentioned, I gave an example. I know it sounded like I rambled, but I think it would work out that way. So let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I am out. But let me know what you think, Anderson and Gallows. Who do you think WWE